Hi everyone, my name's Mike and welcome to the video. So today we're going back to testing classic bikes. We've been doing a lot of modern retros recently, but we're lucky enough to have Stu, who's part of the Lemon Drizzle team, who you've seen in lots of the other videos. He's got a really nice Honda Fireblade. And with this being the 30th anniversary of the Honda Fireblade, we thought it was a really good opportunity to take advantage. His bike's 97 model and it's 918, but it's in really good nick. It runs beautifully. I've had it for the last week or so, and it runs like a Swiss watch. It's an amazing thing. It may be a bit strange that, you know, we think, because we're all people who watch this channel, you know, you look at old Triumphs and old Italian bikes as classics and you think Honda Fireblade, a classic. But if you think about it, they're 30 years old now. Since 92 when they first came out. Like, admittedly this is only 25 years old, but it's still a classic bike. And the Fireblade is one of those landmark bikes, bikes that changed, you know, the face of motorcycling. So it's up there with the CB750 when it first came out, the GSXR 750 when that came out and heralded the lightweight sports bikes. And the Fireblade was an absolute game changer when it came out. And as I said, the model that Stu's got is a really nice one. It's painted up in the Castrol colours, which harks back to the racing days of Steve Hislop, Philip McCallan, and all those TT victories, Joey Dunlop. So I've really enjoyed having the bike the last few days. I haven't ridden a sports bike for a long time, but it was just great fun. It was great fun having this bike. So I hope you enjoy it. It's going to follow the same format that we usually do. So if you like what we're doing, please like and subscribe and hit the notification bell if you think we deserve it. We appreciate very much the support that you guys give us, and we appreciate all the comments. Even when you're telling us off for not doing things right, we still appreciate those comments. So please keep them coming. And yeah, there's going to be, we're going away for a bit. We've got the annual Lemon Drizzle Gang on tour trip coming up on Monday, so we're going to take the boat from Plymouth in the south of England, no, Portsmouth in the south of England, across to northern Spain, and then we're going to ride over the Pyrenees, and then we're going to ride up through France. So I might do a little bit of filming on that. I'm not sure. I'm certainly not going to be taking all the, you know, the heavy duty camera gear, but I might do a little bit of filming, and I might put together a short little film about the Drizzle Gang on tour. We'll see about that. So yeah, on that, I hope you enjoy this, and on with the show. Okay, so this is Stu's bike. He's going to tell us about it. So what were you saying about the name?
We were just explaining to Mike's daughter that the Japanese wanted to call that the Lightning, and they did a sort of rough translation which came out as Fireblade. So that's why that's called a Honda Fireblade and not a Honda Lightning.
Well, like an English electric Lightning. Yeah. Oh, this is Sophie. She's looking at the bike.
Admiring. Yeah. Admiring's the word.
What do you think of it, love?
Disgusting.
Would you ride it?
No.
Okay, cool. So how long have you had it, Stu?
To be honest, we've been, I think it was 2015 that I decided that I wanted one. I got to the point where I hadn't had what I'd call a super bike. One of our group members, he tends to get quite a few exotic machinery, and he always brings them round for me to have a go on. So he's had quite a few Gixxer 1000 and Ducatis and stuff like that. I just thought I wanted to have a bit of a super bike before I got too old to be able to get on it. However, before I had this, I had a ZX6, and as much as it's a racy sort of looking bike, when I gave people a go on it, they were quite surprised how rideable it is. Even the riding positions, it's not too aggressive. So that's why I joined the Honda Fireblade Owners Club, and I sort of trolled them just to see what sort of issues and which was more or less the best bike. Now this one is one of the last carb models. From the reg you'll notice it's a 98, but it's actually a 97 bike because it's got the two gills on the back.
So it's a 918.
It's a 919, this one.
Oh, 919.
Yeah, okay. And the reason is I think it's really strange how the Fireblade, they brought out a 900, so it really sort of excluded them from any sort of racing. They couldn't do the 750, which was the old superbike.
Yeah, that's right.
The twins were thousands, the 750s were fours, so it couldn't do that. Then when they went to the 1000, obviously it was given away. And the year that came out, the R1 came out, which was sort of knocked that into a cocked hat, really.
Yeah,
so
was,
I think they decided to try and bore it out. So it went 919 and then 954.
Yeah.
And after that they went to 1000.
Yeah.
So I bought that thinking it was, well, it was a 98 when I went to look at it, and then I realised it wasn't. So again, on the site I researched, they'd put different internals in it. The gearbox sort of beefed it up a little bit, but it was still one of the ones that didn't have the aggressive riding position.
I was really surprised when I rode it, because I think I say it on the onboard stuff. I was really surprised at how comfortable it is, for a sports bike.
Yeah. I think the other thing that they decided as well was that has got a 16-inch front wheel. So the idea of that was that it turned in a lot quicker. So when I first rode it, I couldn't really tell the difference. But what I did do for tyre choice, I bought some Firestorm wheels, which were 3-spoke, and then they just bolt straight in. All the discs come off, bolt straight in, same spacers, and that gives you a better tyre choice. So I was running the Continentals, the MM7s, which were brilliant. You just have to drop the forks about 10mm in the yokes.
That's now got the 16-inch front wheel.
This is now back as standard. It had a Micron exhaust on. It had the 17-inch wheels on with the tyres, but this is now back to standard. Yeah, it's a standard can on it, which I don't know whether you pick up when Mike's riding, but it is pretty quiet.
It is quiet. Yeah. In fact, because on the onboard stuff, I've got the microphone, because I use a separate microphone to record the sound, and I've got it in the tail hump at the back, and you pick up a lot of kind of gear whine, and not an awful lot of exhaust noise.
Yeah. I mean, when the Micron on it was pretty loud. But yeah, that's because I had all the standard gear. Then it's now got back to the standard wheels, the 5-spokes. It's got some. I think it's got Pirellis on.
It seems
the Diablo 3s,
great.
which they're classed as a road tourer sort of thing. But I don't think I'm sort of using it to the nth degree that you start pushing the tyres.
Well, you can't on the road. The ride that I went on it, I felt like I was wasting the bike, because you're just riding it on the speed limits. But what amazed me about the engine is the flexibility, and whether it's because it is a really flexible engine, or whether it's because I haven't ridden carbs for a while, and it carburates so beautifully, doesn't it? It's really crisp.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I picked up over the years. So obviously, I picked the bike up from a guy that was in the Fireblade Owners Club. I looked at the MOTs, and the first MOT that he'd had done on it, I think he did it's just shy of 1,000 miles. Then the next year it went down to about 400, and then the next year I think he just went back to the MOT station. So I think it's got 45 on the clock now.
I think it has.
So
yeah.
it's got 45 on the clock now. Now I've been, I took it to the Isle of Man. I go to the Isle of Man to the TT. It's been to the TT. It's been to the Classic. I took it to the Picos.
Yeah, you did too.
Actually,
didn't you?
And the story of that is, there's a track up in Anglesey called T Croix, but there's also an RAF station there called RAF Valley, and anyone that goes to Anglesey during the week will note that they have a lot of low-flying jets, because that's where they come in and out of. It's a training centre. So if you do any walking in North Wales, you'll see them coming over. That's where they're coming from. So to try and give something back to the community, they have a charity track day, which actually uses the airfield. So you're using all the sort of side. So that's done a track day, a track day at RAF Valley on the Saturday. Rode back from Anglesey to where we are now near Chester on the Sunday, and packed up down to Plymouth. We went from Plymouth. Yeah. So Plymouth down to Plymouth and all around the Picos. So it'll do a track day, and then 2 days later it's riding around the Picos.
Amazing bikes. We're going on Monday. We're going back to Spain, aren't we? But you're not taking Fireblade this time.
That was it was going to be an option, but I think she's done her bit now. So
yeah. So are you selling this?
Yeah, I think at one point I was getting to where it was getting a little. It's one of those where once you get into it and it's comfortable, when you put your foot down and then you sort of get the locking of the hip and stuff like that. But to be honest, I think that was more me. I sort of changed a little bit of the exercise I do and lifestyle, and now it's just as comfortable. So it's one of those things. It's the garage just keeps filling up with bikes. So I think what you should do is you should buy bikes, sell one, and then buy another one. I haven't got into the selling point yet, so I just keep buying bikes.
But it is lovely. I would love that in the garage. I've always thought my sports bike riding days are done, and then I had this for a few days, and I really enjoyed it. It was.
So, I don't know whether you have viewed any of the other videos on the channel, but we've recently done a Royal Enfield GT Continental.
Yes.
Also a Guzzi V7 Special,
which
has got the 850 engine in. And there's a chap that's obviously seen it and commented, and one of the comments he's put is that he's got a sports bike as well as I think it's a Guzzi, and he said it wants to put him in jail. And I think that's a good description of that, is because when you ride it, it wants to be given its head, and you look down and you're doing sort of speeds that will probably get you banned.
Yeah, well, you see it in the first clip on the video that I've done. I come out of a corner, and luckily I didn't wind it on, and heading the other way was a police car, so I was on the speed limit. But it's so easy to go over the speed limit on this. So cool. All right, well, that's great. It's a beautiful bike, and as I said before, it's not what you'd normally think of as a classic bike, but it is a classic bike.
How old is it now?
Well, it's the 30th anniversary of the Fireblade this year.
The Fireblades have been out there, the early ones with the twin light ones. This is sort of, they call it the Fox Eye.
Yeah.
But most of you will know the sort of urban tigers. So there's a lot of classic bikes.
But it's a fantastic bike to have as a classic. I'd never really considered, but they're coming into the classic TT racing. Bikes like this, like this year they're racing S-Rads and things like that, so they are classics. So cool. All right, well, thank you very much, Stu.
No problem.
And we'll see you in the next one. Alright, so this is my go on it, and I'm not a natural sports bike rider. I used to race. Stu and I used to race together years ago, back in the 80s. But I haven't. I've owned one sports bike since the 80s. I had a Kawasaki 600. I've been more along the flat bars or adventure bikes since then. I had one of the first GS 1200s when they first came out in Australia. So it's been a while since I've ridden on a sports bike, and I was surprised how comfortable this bike is, because I was expecting it to be all bum in the air and chin on the tank, but this bike is actually quite comfy. Obviously round town it's a bit of a get your wrists and things, but it seems to be a bit more roomy than your average sport bike, this one. Built for normal sized human beings. So what's it go like? Well, it goes like a Honda Fireblade. It goes beautifully. It's 25 years old. Everything works as it should. Controls are lovely. Ergos are lovely. Engine is amazing. The flexibility of the engine. I've had an MT10 Yamaha in my garage, a flat barred R1 in my garage, and so I'm used to a lot of power. And this, not a million miles behind it, even for its age. But what really surprised me about this bike is the flexibility of the engine. In fact, I'd say that, I really enjoyed this engine. I got back on my Ducati, and the Ducati felt like a fucking golden nail, to be honest. But also this thing handles. As I say, it's an old bike, but I don't know if Stu's had the suspension operated on it. It just goes round corners like it's on rails. I was really surprised about how much I actually enjoyed riding this bike. You can see I'm not going a million miles an hour here, but I'm just having fun on it. It's one of those bikes that I actually said to Dave, I don't know if many of you've seen the Laverda test that we did. He's got a 1000cc Laverda endurance racer. This is almost like a kind of a much younger version of that bike. So what I'm doing here is I'm showing the flexibility of the engine. I'm short shifting into top, and I'm in top gear now. I'm about 20 miles an hour. And look at this, it's just, you can virtually just use one gear on it. It's amazing. So Stu comes riding on this bike when we go out on lemon drizzle group rides, and we don't ride fast, we just potter around, and Stu just sits there in top gear on the twisty Welsh roads, and he's just pootling along, and that's not what a Fireblade's built for, but it does it, and it does it really well. It's quite an amazing bike. But what he bought it for was to go to the Isle of Man with his mates, and they go over every year to the TT, and the roads are unrestricted, and he uses it for this sort of thing. And I'm obviously on a private road here and I'm not exceeding the speed limit, but shows all aspects of the bike. Very well-rounded bike, and amazingly, for 25 years old, beautiful bike. Really enjoyed my time on it. Thanks, Stu, for letting me